The last time we saw Tenchi and the girls on our screen was back in 2003 to 2005 with OVA 3. That's almost a decade ago. Wow, I feel really old when I say that out loud. That doesn't mean that the Tenchi franchise has been dormant for a very long time. We've had the occasional spin offs over the last few years now, but they don't really count. We want to see these old characters brought back into the newer age. The producers of the series, AIC, wanted Ai Tenchi Muyo to be three things. It was supposed to be a sort of a sponsorship for the city of Takahashi. Also, it's going to be sort of like a mini series with sort of minisodes being sort of 4 minutes long to keep the Tenchi formula fresh in people's minds, and also to commemorate the franchise's 20th anniversary. Now, I say Minnesota with the biggest quotation marks possible in Microsoft Words because they don't really feel like self contained episodes. You may have seen these sort of like short animes that are a few minutes long, they're very self contained, there's no sort of flowing narrative. Here with Ai Tenchi Muyo, they feel more like daily scenes. You're seeing 4 minutes of a scene over a course of a week, which has a sort of a flowing narrative. The story follows Tenchi and the girls as he goes undercover in an all girls school to try to save the world from a dimensional rift which was caused by Washu. That's the overarching sort of story arc. There's also sort of subplots with the whole student council versing off with the science club, and that sort of plays off for the most of the series with the whole sort of dimensional troubles playing off in the background, which obviously comes to a conclusion in the sort of third act of this series. Tenchi is joined by a new group of girls. Now, this can be kind of worrying for Tenchi fans because we sort of very much love the older girls, and bringing in a new girl can be very troublesome. But don't worry, the creators of this show have done a great job with these new characters. Some do feel a little bit like cliches and tropes that we've seen in high school anime, but they're giving enough time to develop them into actual characters. Let's quickly go over the girls. In the student council, we have Momo, who's a sort of the main female protagonist in this with Tenchi. She's a student council president. She's a very nice, loving character. She's very straightforward, honest, a very powerful sense of justice, and she's always sort of like a bit ditzy as well, but she's a very lovable character. We also have Hachiko, who is sort of like an enforcer. She's very sort of chivalrous, brave. She's very sort of a powerful character who loves Momo-chan, probably a bit too much, if you get what I mean. And she's always trying to protect her and everything. She's very brave and strong when she has a wooden sword. But there's also a funny sort of running gag here, where if she has her sword taken away from her, she becomes a sort of really sort of big, massive crybaby, which is a really funny running joke. We also have Hannah, who's sort of like who's like a consultant. She's sort of very flirtatious and stuff like that. She's also a bit into Yuri, I think. It's a bit weird. She's very sort of broad outlooking person. She's very funny as well, and she's got like a massive assets for some reason. And the last one we have is Tori, I believe, who is sort of like a clerk. She's sort of like She's very smart, brilliant, sort of very calm. She's always sort of analysing data and that sort of stuff. And she has a very sort of weird infatuation with Sasami. And on the other side, we have the science club members. We have Yuki, who's sort of like the lolly of this sort of series. She's the club president. She's very quick tempered and sort of very shouty. She's trying to search for hidden treasure underneath the school, and she's very much sort of fighting off against with the student council for some reason. We also have Ryu, who's sort of like this shy, weak member who sort of goes around with things. She's very ditzy, and she's sort of really scared of spiders. It's kind of really funny when she gets sort of near any sort of insect. She goes completely berserker. And then we have Benny, who's sort of like a bodyguard for them, just like Hachiko, sort of very brash, brave, confident person who is just as strong as an ox. Her and Momo are sort of like the main characters who have the most sort of development of this series, as they are key members of this anime. Many Tenchi fans were worried about this new series. First off, that it had a lot of sort of fan servicey aspects to it, sort of some cliches and tropes that have been used in high school anime for a very long time. But the best way I can describe it is that it keeps the old brilliant formula of Tenchi Muyo, but also adds in the sort of newer tropes and traits of anime. You gotta remember, Tenchi Muyo has been sort of laid dormant for quite a while, and sort of anime, and specifically harem anime, has changed drastically over the years. And I like the fact that it adds both elements. So if you're an older Tenchi fan, you can love all this stuff that from the previous stuff, and even the sort of like hints and nods to the old original series. And newer people who've never seen Tenchi Muyo before can get into it because they're sort of used to these sort of tropes and traits. And to be fair, the whole sort of fan service and trope stuff isn't there entirely. We've got to remember these are like 4 minute episodes. So if the first few have that sort of fan servicey stuff, that's about it. In the overarching sort of story and the rest of the series, there's very little of it, which I know if people don't like it, you can kind of turn that off a little bit. But in the overall thing, there's very little of it. I have to say, you have to really keep with Ai Tenchi Muyo because it's an absolutely brilliant welcome back for Tenchi. It brings newer girls in that we actually like for once, and also reintroducing the old ones and having them both interact. The first half of the series is sort of bringing in the newer characters so we can like them and understand who they are, and then bringing in the older ones and seeing how they interact. It's brilliant to see this interaction, how they play off between the two, and it is very much a love letter to the Tenchi series. It really does feel like a sort of a celebration of Tenchi because we have the sort of the older aspects of Tenchi and the older characters who we haven't seen in such a long time. Honestly, it's kind of heartwarming to see Ryoko, Ayeka, Sasami back on our screens. We do see Mihoshi and Washu. They have little cameos within the series, but by the end, sort of the third arc of the show, they become more sort of prominent characters, and it's great to see these characters again. Unfortunately, Kiyone isn't in this. Will she ever get out of the Universe series? But aside from that, the girls are all back. Tenchi's back. They're just the same as you left off. It feels just like a continuation of Tenchi. It doesn't feel like much has changed at all. You will get straight back into it. I know the 4 minute sort of structure is kind of weird. However, I would honestly say watch the supercuts that Tenchi Form TV have done, because if you watch the supercuts, you can really feel that it's a very much a flowing anime. Watching these sort of 4 minute things at a time can be a bit annoying because you're only seeing the sort of 4 minute stuff, and if you're seeing those sort of fan service episodes, they're very short and barely any of them in there. But if you watch the supercut, you can see how it flows straight through. Ai Tenchi Muyo is actually a really great series. I honestly say to people who have a lot of speculation, because I remember a lot of people in the beginning were very worried about it. Honestly, watch it all the way through. You're gonna love it. It's a very much a welcome back for Tenchi. And who knows, this could be the catalyst to bring back more Tenchi stuff. If you're a long-time Tenchi fan, go ahead and watch it. Tenchi Muyo, even at its worst, is still a great anime. You know, people may have dissed in Tokyo, but it was still a great anime. Even when Tenchi does stuff wrong, it's still a great series to watch. I do recommend highly for the fans who have stuck around for such a long time, who've been clinging, waiting, longing for Tenchi to come back, to please watch this series. It is amazing. It's really good. It's a very much a welcome back for the Tenchi fans. There's a lot of fan service, not in terms of sort of the Ichi stuff, but I mean fan service to harken back to the older days of Tenchi. Please go and watch it. You will absolutely love it. And for new people, if you've never seen Tenchi Muyo, this caters to you as well. It's bringing both people together. People who've never heard of Tenchi Muyo can get into it, be introduced to these new girls, as well as seeing the old characters and existing fans who have stuck with it for such a long time. It's great to see it again. Hopefully, we'll be able to see more Tenchi Muyo stuff in the future. Let's hope that Ai Tenchi Muyo is the catalyst for more Tenchi stuff to come. I'm not going to bother giving it a rating. All I'm going to do is say thank you. Thank you, AIC, for bringing back Tenchi for us. We haven't seen these characters for such a long time now, and to see them back on our screens is something so strange. I love it. Thank you so much for doing this. I've been a massive fan for Tenchi for such a long time now. It was something I grew up with, and I hope people can hear it in my voice, the sort of sincerity that I have in the series. Thank you for bringing it back. And the Tenchi fans out there, I have one thing to say. You know the carnival comes and goes, but if you wait for a while, it will always come back to you. Thanks for listening.
You touch me, you kiss me, and time is not remaining. I'm on a rocket.